has it that The Rock is a nightmare to work with on set after The Wrap published this supposed hit piece about him, claiming that Dwayne Johnson's tardiness led to a $250 million runaway production. They said his good guy persona is being tarnished. He is chronically late to set, showing up 7 to 8 hours late regularly. He missed entire days of production and made a habit of peeing into water bottles to save time, which upset crew members.
So they did not have sources on that one.
I would believe it.
What it is he has a video on his Instagram talking about how he does it while he works out.
So we know that he does this when he works out. It's not entirely a stretch of the imagination. He would do it while he's working.
So I watched the Andy Signore video about this, and apparently the journalist who wrote this, Humberto Gonzalez, just has beef with, like, he writes pieces about The Rock that he clearly doesn't like him, and he further talks about how this guy isn't necessarily the most reliable journalist. He's a scoop stealer.
Well, the same guy, he wrote how Dwayne Johnson kneecapped Black Adam and Shazam 2 while trying to take over DC. So he does probably have...
Camelot is in the chat saying,
Camelot.
To be fair, pissing in bottles is based.
Is it?
That's what he says.
I think Christopher Nolan doesn't go on bathroom breaks while he's filming, so Christopher Nolan would love The Rock. They should work together.
Let's make
Normally their genres wouldn't intersect, but I think this is a great opportunity for them.
It would get done so fast.
Would Chris Nolan make with The Rock?
The thing is,
they should remake Doom.
If The Rock weren't late to set and missing entire days of production, they wouldn't need to save time at all. He could take normal bathroom breaks, but he created this problem for himself.
Maybe he just likes peeing in bottles.
Is he doing it in front of the crew members? Is that why they're upset? Like they have to see his junk every 15 minutes?
Yeah, so we can go
Okay, so this says, The Rock has nurtured a reputation as a hard-working, muscle-bound action comedy movie star with considerable box office draw power. But Red One, a high-powered Christmas crowd pleaser for Amazon, has turned into a massive budgetary misadventure, casting Johnson's fame and work ethic in a different light. Originally slated for release in 2023 Christmas season, Red One's theatrical release has been delayed to November 2024 due to the last year's labor strikes. But a real story is a lot messier. Production issues ranging from The Rock's chronic lateness and lack of professionalism on set to producers' inexperience caused costs on the movie, co-starring Chris Evans and J.K. Simmons, to spiral upwards to a final budget of over $250 million. That is insane for a streaming movie.
But look, there's conflicting statements here. Like when it comes to the bottle thing, they're like, we couldn't find anyone on the set to corroborate this, but they link back to an old post that The Rock made about 14-hour work days. That was people from the ITSE complaining about overwork.
Insiders told The Wrap, they're anonymous inside sources. Insiders told The Wrap that The Rock showed up as much as 8 hours late to set on the movie, forcing the crew to shoot around him on some days. On previous films, he's made a habit of peeing in a water bottle to save time, which upset crew members.
I love the idea that he's 8 hours late but pees in a water bottle to save time.
One insider who knows The Rock...
time management. Break.
One insider who knows The Rock said on set, away from his trailer, if he needs to pee, he doesn't go to the public bathroom. He pees in a Voss water bottle, and his team or PA has to dispose of it. He doesn't even dispose of his own piss. He has someone else do it.
Remember we did the scene for there was the video of what's her name putting gum in someone's hand.
Yeah, J-Lo did that. Yeah. Oh, that's disgusting. See, it would be one thing if he were just peeing in water bottles, but he's making his production assistant throw it out for him.
Disgusting.
And why a Voss water bottle?
Always Voss.
Like, aren't you supposed to save those?
I like the idea. What's his liquor brand? Terramana. It's always in a Terramana liquor bottle.
Or he reuses the same Voss bottle over and over again until it's full.
So here's some pushback. It says
it's just getting worse.
In response to the question from the Wrap, two sources close to the production and one close to $7 all insisted that The Rock averaged no more than 1 hour late to the Red One set, as opposed to what they were saying. Sometimes sometimes 8 hours late.
Insiders
Yes,
said.
and then one source told close to Amazon, MGM, said that the budget never veered far from the figure that Amazon greenlit for the movie, which was $250 million. It is completely normal for there to be a budget fluctuation within 15% of the target, which is exactly what we experienced. So the people at Amazon seem to be pushing back, but there's two ways you can look at this. Either you believe the inside sources that say that The Rock sucks, and that all of this is just them covering it up, and Amazon is just, doing what you have to do, which is that this movie isn't out yet. We're not going to badmouth this guy who's making a movie. Or you believe the Amazon sources and believe that the inside sources saying he's a problem are the ones lying. Either way, it's he said, she said. Nobody knows.
I'm going to choose to believe that it's all true.
That it's all true.
On a separate movie called Red Notice, this says The Rock and Ryan Reynolds reportedly went through a huge fight because The Rock would be constantly over 5 hours late to set. This says it's led to confrontations with co-stars, most famously Vin Diesel. Ryan Reynolds was so infuriated after waiting 5 hours for Johnson that they had a huge fight, according to insiders. The Rock then stormed off set. The two stars didn't speak for years until they recently patched things up.
What?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He had major problems with Vin Diesel, which is why he was like, there was a lot of problems with that. The whole reason they made the Hobbs and Shaw movie was because him and Vin Diesel, it was a spin-off in the Fast and the Furious franchise, is because him and Vin Diesel couldn't get along on set.
Difficult to work
Well,
with.
he said Ryan Reynolds too.
And,
Yeah.
well, that was
Get
on
on with
the movie Red Notice, which by the way is different than Red One.
Yes.
Those are not the same thing.
Yeah. But a spokesperson for Ryan Reynolds did not respond to request for comment, so we really have no idea if that's true.
Yep.
But I think the piss thing is the most egregious.
Well, it feels to me like they're taking
It
the
really
story.
is.
He's not gonna let that one
I'm not
go.
gonna let it go. Like, that's gross.
I feel like they're
What's he
taking
gonna do
the story.
next? Like shit in a bucket?
If he's doing it in the gym, so when he goes on these movie sets, he literally has his gym flown in, so that he has his own personal gym on
what
set.
a diva.
Like in a shipping container.
Yeah,
basically.
like and then reset up at all these movies. I mean, to have that dude's physique, you gotta work out a lot.
You can't just
So-
use a normal gym for that.
gotta
You
have
have
your
to
own
ship
equipment.
your gym everywhere you go.
yeah, it's a bit
really.
much. Is there like steroids embedded in the gym?
I remember this story that when they were making Avengers Endgame and Infinity War, that Robert Downey Jr. had his entire home like shipped. Like his whole of his like condo shipped whole hog.
Like his furniture.
Like they rebuilt it in a.
That's
in
They
another place.
replicated
Yeah.
his condo.
Yeah.
That's diva behavior.
Yeah, that's-
However you put it, it's definitely diva behavior. But a spokesperson for Amazon denied there were any onset issues with Red One or delays caused by The Rock, saying The Rock and $7 have been incredible partners on Red One. Our testing has been very strong. The reaction from CinemaCon speaks for itself, and we couldn't have made it without Dwayne's constant work and support. Any reporting that implies that we got to this point with him showing up 7 to 8 hours late to set is both ridiculous and false. Yeah, well, I'll believe it when I see it. I think that it's like any celebrity who has a reputation for being a good guy, it seems fake to me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Planned.
Doesn't matter who it is. I always
Even Keanu Reeves.
Even Keanu Reeves. Anyone who is known for being such a good guy, you can't believe that, like, as if you actually know them.
Well, yeah. You again,
And that just seems like you're overcompensating for something.
there should be no. A lot of people would say like, there's a reason why The Rock was so successful playing a bad guy in wrestling, because that's his actual persona. I don't know. Look, so John Nolte and as well as some other people were basically saying that they believe that this is a response to the fact that The Rock refused to endorse Joe Biden in the upcoming election, and that sounds kind of silly at first, but at the same time, when you're a member of the club, when you're part of the in-group there, what reason is there for them to write a hit piece on you other than political reasons? If you're part of the in-group, he's not normally a political person. He did endorse Joe Biden in 2020. Now, what was it, 2 weeks after his whole thing about how he's not endorsing a candidate, is it at
Very
least possible?
interesting.
I find it hard to believe, honestly, and usually, like, John Nolte never misses. I would never counter-signal him, but this take is just a little bit hard to believe for me. He says, this is what happens when you dare step off of Hollywood's ideological plantation.
I mean,
it's not even like he said he was voting for Trump or supporting a right-wing candidate or even RFK. He's just choosing not to endorse anyone.
I feel like that in and of itself is enough to piss off a lot of people in Hollywood.
But maybe it's not just that, but it's the fact that the journalist from WAPA, like the dude was just like from the rap was like, and I don't like him,
Mr. Umberto.
Yeah, doesn't like.
He's mad that his name is Umberto and that Dwayne gets to go by The Rock.
If you guys are interested, after this episode, Andy Signor did a video on this where he goes into more detail about his history with that journalist and all this stuff. It's a pretty interesting watch there. Again, Mary, you are right that like holding any celebrity to any level of like
on a pedestal,
yes, is a bad idea.
If you don't want people to ask you about your presidential endorsement as a movie star, then you probably just shouldn't make a habit of making presidential endorsements, which is what he did when he endorsed Biden. A
lot of people were very surprised he did that because before he wasn't one to do that.
Before that would hurt your career, but more recently now it helps your career, obviously.
I mean, I don't even know how it helped. Like, how does it help your career? Like,
it doesn't. I mean, there are plenty of stars out there who are never asked about their presidential endorsements. The Rock is one of them because he made a habit of doing so.
Also, there's just too many that are willing to do that. Like, am I really supposed to believe that in the sea of actors, all of which we know are left-leaning, that your endorsement is supposed to get you curry favor? Maybe behind the scenes, I guess.
It may not even be to gain favor, but it may be to not have hit pieces written about you like this. Because, I mean, I don't know if there's been other times where The Rock has been accused of being an a-hole or being a diva.
Okay, so the last time that The Rock was really cast in a very negative light was the stuff after Maui with Oprah and the charity.
Right. I don't understand why.
Because they matched funds to start this charity, and then people were like, why are you asking for the public to donate money when you're worth hundreds of millions of dollars?
I mean, I thought it was because of the theory that Oprah was trying to clear land. Yeah, she was planning to buy the land that was destroyed by the wildfires.
I don't know how mainstream that theory was.
And the theory that it was space lasers that ignited the fire. But this says, coming from a bona fide box office superstar, that kind of apostasy cannot be allowed. The Rock hurt Joe Biden, and an example must be made of him. So after 2 decades of The Rock being a media darling, enter the McCarthyites of the far left at the Wrap. I mean, it's just only a political junkie would read it this way.
I do think that there's something to the argument that, like, when asked that question and not simply saying no, even saying no comment, that no endorsement is an endorsement of sorts when you're expected to give one specific, like if they went to Taylor Swift today and said, who do you endorse for for the presidency? He said, I'm going to keep it between me and the voting booth. Like that would be seen as a slight. Even if she's not technically slighting, even if she is going to vote for him, by not publicly saying so, they will view it as a slight.
But the media hasn't turned against Taylor Swift for not endorsing Biden.
But she hasn't been asked that question and given a response where she says, but she hasn't said, I'm not saying.
Like in the interview she did for Time Person of the Year.
What did she say?
They did mention that she has refrained from endorsing.
Was there a comment of her saying that, or did they simply say that she's refraining? Was there an actual quote of her saying that?
I'm not sure.
I don't think there was a quote of her.
She's just posted on her Instagram about voter registration.
It would have been a bigger deal, especially even on right-wing Twitter, if she said, I'm refraining from picking a candidate. Because the idea of her endorsing...
But you open yourself up to the question by endorsing him the previous cycle. Therefore, it's your fault, in my opinion. Because it's not your place.
For sure.
And they're preaching from a pulpit when they do that, and I don't like it. So really,
and I'm like looking at The Rock. I'm like, are you really voting for Joe Biden?
Yeah.
Are you even?
And let's face it, a $250 million Amazon movie. That's a more interesting point here. Like, how are you going to make your money back on a $250 million Amazon movie? You can't even sell your rights because it's for your platform, right? It's not going to theaters. It's not going to make its money back any other way.
Money laundering.
Feels like that sometimes. At least I cynically feel that way most of the time, that a lot of it feels like money laundering or just people who are really bad at their job and don't know how to produce.
Yep. Whose side would you take in the Vin Diesel and The Rock fight? Who do you think is to blame?
I mean, if we're basing it solely on that franchise, I mean, more movies got made with less problems with Vin Diesel. right?
Yeah.
So clearly,
Track record.
There was that video of like him and Vin Diesel and Justin Lin, like, and he looked like he was like held hostage by him.
He was making this really
He's like, hey man, we're on the first
set.
day of Fast X, and the guy just looked miserable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was trying to force him to be part of the moment.
Yeah.
Vin Diesel has a lot of hilarious videos like that.
Plus we have the video of Vin Diesel like from the Triple X interview with that journalist who's like, you're so
sexually
beautiful.
harassing her, basically.
You're so beautiful. Like he was clearly just.
He said, "Do you want to get out of here?" He literally said, "Do you want to get out of here?" Like.
Yes.
So they both have their issues.
We'll never know, but I do know that anybody who watched pro wrestling understands what the thumbnail means. The WWE used to have a division called the Divas division. It's what they called their women's wrestling division back when it was far more misogynist. And so they would be the Divas champion. And since people call him the People's champion, I say he is now the Divas champion.
You remember the way people reacted to our video just a couple weeks ago about Johnny Depp? Being accused of the same stuff, being late to set, being difficult to work with, trying to change the script. All of those things, I am very willing to believe Johnny Depp has done those things.
As far as I'm
Has Johnny
concerned,
Depp earned it though a little?
The Rock has earned it too. I mean, The Rock has earned his.
You could say that about anyone. I don't think you can earn the right to be an a-hole.
I just see it as classic Hollywood. If you go there and you're going to be an actor, you expect that lead guy to be unapproachable, rude, and no green M&Ms in my thing.
Assume the worst.
Assume the worst, and
That's
you'll always
the
be
best
fine.
I mean,
course
you
of
don't get
action.
that big by being just like a nice, homely, down-to-earth person.
Now, okay,
But he doesn't seem like he's very business smart either. Like the way that he
The Rock?
was dealing with DC and trying to become a creative lead at DC.
I mean, I think he might have just been out of his depth.
He's
there.
not
Yeah,
the box
maybe.
office draw that for some reason he thinks he is.
He's still what you think of when you think of, like, if you were to ask people, like, who's a movie star of today, I bet you he's in the first.
But look at the proof,
For sure.
though.
Yeah.
Like, not in reality.
I'm not saying actual box office draw. I'm just saying, like, who does Hollywood think of as a box
Sure,
office draw?
I guess.
It's Tom Cruise, Ryan Reynolds, Ryan Gosling, The Rock, and
Even Tom Cruise kind of underperformed with Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning. So,
Yep. So it's interesting.
but no, it's the fans' fault. It's the fans' fault if a movie underperforms.
Now, if this had been like a sudden Me Too story out of nowhere, maybe I would have
Oh,
seen
yeah.
that as more of a political hit job.
Yeah, but The Rock is an asexual himbo, so that would never happen.
He's married with two. He's got kids. He's got, he's got several kids.
So he's known as that.
Yes.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.